Are we on?
Fa la la.
Yeah. We are live.
You think we're live? Are we live?
I think we're live. We're alive.
We're live!
And live.
Hey!
Live alive.
Happy holidays. I
Happy
promised my son Colson that I would wear this hat, and I have fulfilled my promise. So, there we go. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, sister.
Thank you. Happy holidays, brother.
All right. It has been a long time since we've done a Doc Talk, so I just want to refresh everyone's minds as to kind of what the goal here is. The goal is for my family, my sister and I at this point, to bring a little bit of cheer into your life this holiday season. And if you like the talks, share it. If it's educational at all, share it. This talk really has nothing to do with me, except for I am a absolute Christmas nut. I love the holidays.
Yes, he got that honestly.
I do.
Our mother.
I do.
Shout out to our mother, who was quite the Christmas nut as well.
Oh my God.
Yep.
We could tell you stories. Oh, hi Mom.
Mama.
There you go.
Love you.
And yeah, hi Dad. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. This talk is more centered around my sister's field, which is psychology. And actually, a few of my patients brought this to my attention. I said, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to know about? What do you want to talk about? It's Christmas. And overwhelmingly, it was mental health around the holidays, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, I know this, right? I've heard this. But it's not something that, is just to the forefront of my brain.
Right.
But it's a major issue, right? I mean,
it is a major issue. And I think that, again, I think people are becoming more comfortable in discussing mental health, but still, people are afraid to associate, can we talk about mental health and Christmas? Is that right? Can we talk about mental health in the holidays? There's this idea that during the holidays, we have to be full of cheer and festive all the time. We have to have that game face on. The music, listen to the music. The music tells us we have to be holly. It's jolly and holly, and it's the most wonderful time of the year.
I think
Jingle
you're sitting on joy.
I'm sitting on joy, yes. Full of joy and
full of
jingle. And the truth is that just because it's Christmas, doesn't mean that our lives stop. So Christmas is here. With Christmas comes Christmas parties, Christmas functions, gatherings, shopping, baking, putting up, decorating. So we have to do all of that in addition to all of the responsibilities in our everyday life. So being a mother, being a father, being a professional, those things don't stop, and it's overwhelming. We become literally physically and mentally exhausted.
Now, do you think, and again,
right,
folks, this is something I know very little about. Other than being an empath, I think I'm a little bit of an empath. I don't know a lot about this. So it's kind of, I would assume, is it safe to assume that everyone, literally everyone, has an element of this, whether that they recognize it or not? And some people, who is more prone to take this to the next level?
Right. So the American Psychological Association did a survey with the American people, and what it showed, which I thought was a little bit low, but 38% of people reported that their stress levels were significantly increased during the holidays. But that's only the people who actually completed this survey. So I would say it's higher than that.
Okay.
I would say, if we're honest, the majority of people, our stress levels increase during the holidays. Now, for people with mental illness, 68% of them, when surveyed, said that they had increased levels of mental illness. So their anxiety, their depression was exacerbated over the holidays significantly.
68?
68% of people with mental illness.
Not just a majority, that's a massive majority.
Absolutely.
And probably understated. So,
agreed.
Okay, and again, I gotta tell you, I hate the word mental illness. I just don't like that.
Right.
I feel like everyone, it's kind of like, it's okay because everyone's got some mental illness, right?
Right. So I think it's better, so 50%, what statistics show is that 50% of us will at some time throughout the course of our life experience some type of diagnosable mental illness. And those are only the people who actually go to a doctor and get the diagnosis and treatment.
Not like an element of anxiety or dysthymic, like a little low, but you're like a DSM-4
That's right.
diagnosis of
50%. 50% of the population. In some cultures, it's viewed as something weak. And so there are cultures that I think have very low numbers, not because necessarily they really are lower compared to other cultures, but because they don't seek treatment or seek, help as often. So that's literally 50% of people will have some diagnosable, mental illness. However, instead of, you mentioned talking about mental illness, you don't like the word mental illness. A lot of people don't. So I prefer let's talk about mental health. Because mental health can be positive, it can be negative.
I need some mental health.
Listen, we all you have mental health. We have his mental health is not always positive. I'm joking. Most of the
Wait a minute. This was a doc talk. I think it's now beat up Dr.Rad.
You want to see the 20% where it's not positive.
So listen, Elmer Fudd. So here's a thought. This is interesting because I have, for those of you who don't know, I have 3 beautiful little children, and thank God I have the most incredible wife in the world who helps me manage my life.
Not to mention your sister.
And my sister, God bless her. Anyway, so I'm trying to explain to my 3 kids. We're driving out of the neighborhood literally yesterday, and for their allowance,
right?
And they were fixated on like, I'm gonna buy some Pokemon cards, and I'm gonna get some this. I'm like, guys, remember, we're shopping for Mom. Now I only tell you this story because, I was explaining to them that, if you think it's wonderful to get gifts, to give gifts is wonderful. Like the gift of giving and giving maybe some joy, right, and some love, in that terms. Now again, they're 11, 9, and 7, right? So I don't expect them to understand, but the reason I even tell you the story is because you can take the story and extrapolate so many years down the road.
Yes.
And the gift of giving and joy can, my understanding, turn out to be very, very stressful. What gift do I give? Am I going to be Johnny One-Upper? This is financially stressful for me. And this year, COVID, we got 80,000 ships off the coast. You can't park their heinies here and get us toys. I don't know. Is that part of it? Is that planned?
It is part of it. So the people who were surveyed by the American Psychological Association, when asked what contributed to their higher stress levels, number 1 was lack of time. They just felt that they didn't have enough time to do everything they wanted to do. And we'll talk a bit more about that. Number 2 was financial stress. When you don't have a lot of money and you feel you have this expectation that you need to buy gifts for people, it's stressful. Number 3 was gift buying, like you mentioned, gift buying, baking, all the preparation. And then number 4, interestingly, which I thought about it and then I giggled thinking about some of our past Christmases, was actually family gatherings.
That can't be stressful. Who gets stressed out hanging out with their family? We'll just love each other.
Right. So all of those things in combination, are stressful. And I do think, because we do teach from very young, that gift giving is a big part of the Christmas celebration or the holidays. And so, as you mentioned, teaching your children about, and that's called social emotional learning. It's something and that I can speak as a school psychologist and seeing it within the schools, something that we're not doing as good of a job, not as a school system, but I think parents in the home, we're not teaching those things as well as we used to. So I think that the fact that you're teaching your young children, instead of just expecting the gifts and your joy coming from opening all your presents on Christmas Day. Let's find joy in shopping or even making, because they might not have a lot of money. Let's do something. Let's make something with our hands. Let's
Right.
bring joy to other people.
Right.
Let's Christmas carol. Let's do something that brings, brings joy to others.
So it's fun. We were talking before we turned the cameras on, of course, and we were reminded of my mom is a nurse, and she'll tell you 51 years, but it's 53 because she's older than she says. Happy 70th birthday tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Mother.
Yes.
Yes.
Happy birthday
I get to you,
Happy
birthday to you, Happy birthday, dear mama,
Happy birthday
to you.
you.
Yep.
The big 70.
7-0. Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Yep.
Can't believe you made it that far. That's amazing. I'm kidding.
Raising
Kind
the
of.
three
No.
boys.
So, our mother was a nurse, and then she ended up doing home health for a significant part of the latter part of her career.
Yep.
And we were just talking about just stories, the things we remembered growing up. And one of the things she used to do is, with a few select group of patients who she just really was attached to, she would take us kids, and we were just kids at
Young
the time.
kids, yeah.
You also have to remember my dad plays the guitar and sings music for a living. And we would get dressed up. It was Christmas Eve,
Yep.
when we wanted to be doing 8,000 other things, right? And we would go to these patients' houses, and there were numerous of them, at least 5 or 6.
Yep.
And my dad would play the guitar, and we would sing Christmas carols. And it's funny because you can't have a perspective as a child.
Right.
But some of the things burn into your brain, right? Like, it was a beautiful thing. We learned a lot from it, and certainly spread some cheer and joy. And at the end of the day, even as children, we were like, yeah, we did something good,
Yes.
right? But one of the things we were just talking about is how a lot of people live and how much loneliness lives in the holiday. Now,
Yes.
it almost seems like the antithesis of the holidays, right? I mean, it almost seems completely
Right.
paradoxical, but it's not, right? It's
Yep.
people are lonely.
They are lonely. And if you listen to the music is talking about families coming together, gatherings, festivities, and there are many people who truly are alone. And they're reminded, those things that we talk about that are so pleasant for other people actually become triggers for them. They're reminded of how lonely they are. Another thing.
I never thought of it.
Yeah.
I never
And
thought.
it's we also, whether you lose somebody around Christmas time or you lose somebody not around Christmas time, those feelings of grief are exacerbated during the holidays. And that is very, very normal, very natural. And I think people try to fight that. And so I think that's something important. We have a tendency to become very sentimental at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, we come into this world and we exit this world. And so if you live long enough, you're going to lose people that you love. And the holidays can be very, very hard for people because we're surrounded by these triggers sometimes, and we miss the people that we love. And so I just want to put out there that it is okay when life circumstances change, traditions can change with them. And so maybe consider embracing new traditions if some of those old traditions are triggers for you.
There's no question, I agree with that. And here's my yogi answer to that is try to be in the moment. Be
Yes.
self-actualized in the moment. That is really hard to do.
Very hard.
By the way, it is something I've just in the last few years begun to have any kind of control over. I am not a hothead, but I am emotional, right? And I tend to charge in, a situation. But I've learned to be, where your feet are, in a sense, because I don't know. It's to take that feeling, to appreciate it. It's interesting. Most of everybody knows that you lost your oldest son just a few years ago, who was like a son to me, obviously can't compare that, but
Noah.
but
yes.
we still typically it's depending on the meal, we will set a place for him, which is an awkward
It is.
thing, right?
And people who might join us for a dinner or something and not understand that when we explain, kind of look at us sometimes like we're a little crazy.
Well,
I had
we
to
are.
do that. I had to do that for the first 2 Thanksgivings and the first 2 Christmases. Like literally, I had to. I remember telling my family, I hope that this doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. And again, we're going to touch on that too. Being able to tell people how you really feel. Because that's important.
That is a tough one.
It
That's
is.
another talk.
It is saying no.
Tell
Telling
people
yes,
exactly
and
how
asking
you
for
feel.
help when you need help. But I remember, the first Christmas after having lost Noah, I told my family, I said, this is going to be very hard. I'm going to do it. It's going to be hard though. So I said, we need to set a place at the table for Noah because I'm not ready to not have that place there yet. And they were very understanding. And it became kind of comical. And Mom, I know you have to be smiling right now because literally, the first Christmas, we were fighting about who was going to be sitting next to Noah.
That's right.
So we
Noah,
had the place for Noah.
who was
I
there
sat on the left.
and not there.
That's at the same
It was
time,
at the
right?
same time.
And my mom sat on the other side, and here we were eating, having conversations with each other and Noah. And it sounds a little comical, but that's what we needed to be able. That's how we were able to deal with our grief. And so,
Well, the reason I brought up is that I remember having to go through all that in my
Right.
head very quickly, kind of like there's the spot where
Yep.
my nephew would be sitting, and
Right.
I remember thinking, this is awkward, this is grief boiling up, and then I was able to just go, hey, it also brings back all this wonderful
That's
right memories and concepts like love in this moment. You don't know what you got left. You don't know what you have with your family.
that's right.
Make that phone call. Make that, send that email. Send that Christmas card. This is, we're talking about mental illness and how it can be exacerbated, but this
Right.
is it. This is the apex. This is the
Yes.
quintessential time of the year
It is.
where love is the word. Love is the
Yes.
is the vibe, and anyone who knows me, and then my sister, we are kin of a sort.
Best friends. Yes.
Very similar animals. We love is not a word that we shy away from at all.
No.
I hug almost all my patients this time of year more maybe than usual. But being in that moment, self-actualization, that's a tough thing to learn, but
It is a huge thing, and I think that we, as a society, are talking about mindfulness a lot more. And as a psychologist, I can tell you what I have seen. People have a hard time being in the moment and living in the moment. Our lives are so busy and they're so hectic, especially around the holidays. If you do not take the time to be in the moment and truly enjoy your holiday, then you're not going to be able to create memories.
So what do you say to the listener who says, hey man, buck up, buttercup, suck it up, buttercup. Hey man, you've got all these things to be thankful for. I don't know why you're moping around, blah 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 blah. Just suck it up. Yeah, is that a real option? You just suck it up? Or what? How do you? I know we've talked a little bit about coping, but
Right, and the whole rational detachment.
and we've talked about it's
Right.
okay to feel this way. What do you do about it?
So, a lot of people do hit you with "suck it up, buttercup. It's going to be okay. It's time to move on." Every person moves on, or goes through the grieving process, or through their mental illness differently. And so the expectation that one person who might have a higher level of what we would call resilience might move forward, through it a lot quicker, and they're looking like they're sucking it up and not being a buttercup, whereas other people truly need more time to process. I have a group of mothers that I spend time with, love them very, very much, and I notice, we're all around anywhere between 4 to 6 years out with a loss of a child. And we all cycle differently, and we need to grieve differently. And what I understand, sometimes I see things and I think, I know where they're at, and I just want to pull them out. But you know what? Sometimes they just have to, and it's okay. It's okay to say, I'm sad. It is okay to say, I feel lonely. It is okay to say, I'm pissed off this time of year because I feel that I've been robbed of my favorite Christmas present. Those things are okay. And being able to be bold enough to say it, and as family and friends, we need to support that. It's not suck it up buttercup. It's I love you.
All right, I was just gonna flip the switch on you and say,
Right.
what about the other side of that coin?
Right.
What can you do as someone who maybe is living with someone who suffers from depression typically at this time of the year, or a friend? Do you just, kind of not talk about it and move on? Do you try to share some extra love? Do you just address the elephant in the room and say, I noticed you're down, man.
That's
I got
exactly.
love for you. What can I do for you? So what do you do? Just be
So-
there? I mean, we used to say, just be there.
That's right.
What does that mean? Be there.
The number one thing you can do is exactly what you're saying, is to be there, to listen, not to push. If
Hold on, men, did you hear that? Men, we are horrible listeners.
Yes, you are. And you don't
We
need
are-
to, and
it's okay.
men, you do not need to fix the problem.
Yes, you do. You need to fix the problem. I didn't say that. She said that.
You-
But don't fix it right now.
You need to listen.
Let her talk.
Let her talk.
Then go fix it later.
Right. So the key here is be an empathic, non-judgmental listener. Okay? If someone is
So don't be human. That's what she just said.
do not judge. Do not judge.
Be an empathic,
Be empathic,
non-judgmental
non-judgmental
listener. Okay.
That's right, and try to understand, if you're not a real empath and you can't really put your feet in their shoes, that's okay. Listen and be supportive. If they're experiencing social anxiety, not all people want to go out to a big Christmas party. If they don't push them to attend. Don't say, oh, you're going to feel so much better. Come on, we're going to get you out of the house and get you a couple drinks. Not necessarily going to be the thing that makes the person feel better. And then I think also, allowing them just to say, I feel sad, and not shaming them for it.
You nailed that. I actually understand it. No shaming.
No shaming.
For feeling bad.
That's right. And especially around
That's
the holidays.
legit.
We're not expected to be all, like I said, joyful and festive during the holidays. Another thing, one of the most
Although
important
we
things.
should try.
We should. That's right. Put that smile on your face. We should try.
I'm kidding. I don't like to use words like should.
Right.
Yeah, I hate those words. But
Yeah.
we can try.
We can try.
So, it's funny. Our father introduced me to a concept when I was, I don't know, I was probably 26 or so.
Mm-hmm.
It was from a book, Conversations with God. It was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And it was something like, well, if you don't feel like you have love in your life or joy
Right.
in your life, then give it to someone. And you're like, what, huh? It was like, well,
Yes.
it's like money. If you don't feel like you have money, if you want some, first you have to give some.
Right.
Well, then you had money to give. And it wasn't one of these things, come back tenfold. It wasn't like that. It was,
Nope.
and with love, it was very interesting. And I find it to be very true. It was, if you are in need of love, then the first thing you need to do is extend it to someone else.
Yes.
Does that? I don't know if that works or not. If that's just a cute idea, but I would say, I think it does. I've
does.
tried it. I've played it for the last 20 years. When I am not feeling it,
Yep.
I try to muster it up and give it to someone else.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, you know how infectious even just a simple smile is? Do you know it's almost impossible to walk past someone and give them a big smile and not see them smile back?
Ladies, don't smile at your husband like that. That is not the kind of love we're talking about.
Oh, heavens.
Just a
smile
friendly
is not
smile.
enough.
Like, no, never enough. Listen, I think that that's true. Not just infectious, but I think it's real.
It is real.
It's not like you're trying to fake someone out.
No.
Let me give you a little love and you'll be loved, and
Right.
and I'll get love in return. It's like a real thing.
It is.
It's like yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a quick little short story. Juan and I were out Christmas shopping maybe a week and a half ago.
Juan is her servant, otherwise known as husband. Right, Juan?
Right. He's
You got it.
he's a very lucky man.
A lucky man. Lucky man.
Yes.
I am
Actually-
servant Jason, otherwise known as
Husband
husband
of
Jason,
Jenna.
Dr. Rad. That's right. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we were out Christmas shopping and saw something that literally broke my heart. There was a woman who was probably in her 80s, and such a pretty thing, had put on her lipstick and had done her hair, and she was pulling into one of the, I won't call the store out, but it was one of the stores we have around here, and she, you know how they have the little stop signs, not stop lights, little stop lines, stop signs so that you don't run pedestrians
Yeah,
over.
sure. Yeah.
Well, she missed the stop sign, it was nothing big, and ended up parking, and another lady, a younger woman, got out of her car, literally parked next to the woman, got out of her car, and came and screamed and yelled at this woman and told her she could have killed somebody. You could have killed somebody's child at Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And this poor old woman fell apart. And before I could even, my husband got out of the car. He walked over. So I'm talking about small gestures. She was sitting there opened her car door and she's crying. And he puts his arms around her, puts his mask on, puts his arm around her, hugs her and says, "You didn't do anything wrong." And she sat there and just cried and then said, "You have no idea how much that meant to me." And so I'm saying just small gestures, just to, especially around the holidays. It was not easy for her, to being 80-something years old, out shopping.
So listen,
it's crazy, and she was.
I'm gonna have Juan at my office on Christmas Eve. If you need a hug,
He is quite the hugger.
50 cents a hug? No, I'm kidding.
Better than Jason's.
No. He's an incredible man, and the fact that he has no problems doing that. Now, not all of us are capable
Right.
of walking up to a stranger and throwing out a hug.
Yes, and just And
But it doesn't. So it doesn't have to be this gross gesture, right? It can
small
just a
gestures
smile.
meant more to her, and she said all I wanted to do was go in and buy myself a little lipstick. She's like, "I just should have stayed at home." And Juan said, "No, you shouldn't have.
No, you shouldn't
You
have.
go buy yourself."
It's so funny. So when I'm walking around the stores, shopping for the holidays, or just whatever, I'm going into the grocery store. I used to try to aim for 5. I don't even do it anymore. If I make eye contact with somebody,
I know.
I tell them Merry Christmas.
Yes,
I don't even really care if they look at me like a bah humbug. I'm like, Merry Christmas.
that's right.
Merry Christmas. And you know what? I swear to God, the grumpiest face just melts.
It does.
It's just fantastic.
It does. We've really gotten away from that, especially over the last couple years. We're afraid of each other. And I know that sounds horrible, but I mean, we've had this horrible virus that we've been living with. And so it's time, it's okay to smile. It's okay to say Merry Christmas. It's okay to say, "Hey, I love you." Seriously, it's okay to do that.
It's
to tell
interesting.
somebody you don't even know that you love them, because we're supposed to love everybody.
I have thought about this, but not to this significance. With COVID and masks and social distancing,
Right.
and as much as we've all been apart in the last year or two, I can imagine it just exacerbates
Yes,
the problem of loneliness and
does.
mental illness at Christmas.
it absolutely does. And there are those who are still, even with, we're very blessed to have this vaccination now, and it's keeping a lot of people alive. However, people are still scared, and justifiably so. So compassion and grace.
Compassion and grace.
Compassion and grace. I want to touch on something before I forget about
Oh.
it, because I am in my 40s, well into my 40s now, and
She's closer to 50 than she
you
is
would ask,
40.
I am not. I am 45. I'm dead smack in the middle. Anyway, you had asked about some strategies for people with mental illness and what we can do to support. One of the
Right.
best things that, if you have a loved one or know somebody that does suffer from mental illness, one of the best things that you can do is help them identify their triggers. So what are things that trigger your depression? What triggers your anxiety. Because once a person identifies the things that do exacerbate these issues, it can help them navigate through the season more comfortably. And so don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about the depression. Don't be afraid to talk about
What are your triggers? What do you mean triggers?
Triggers. So I can tell you very honestly, I was always one of these crazy people. Truly, I love Hallmark Christmas movies. Love them.
Oh my God, it's true.
Listen, I mean, seriously,
it's true.
I mean, I'm a pretty cool cat, but when it comes to
it's ridiculous.
Love
it's
Hallmark
ridiculous.
cheesy Christmas movies. And
you
it's
should buy
because,
stock in Hallmark.
Yes, I should.
And my wife now is part of this.
I mean,
this band of home. You guys should have a name for yourselves.
Seriously,
the Hallmark Bandits.
And everybody in the house hated it except for me, but they recognized, and I would say, these 2 months are mine. They're mine. So let me just have
how's this go back to triggers?
Triggers, because it was something that I had both of my boys, one on each side of me, and I would say, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch a Hallmark Christmas movie together, and we would. And so now, my youngest is a senior and wants nothing to do with that. And my eldest, no longer is here. I believe he's somewhere much better, but he's no longer here with me. So I find myself sitting on the couch sometimes alone, trying to have the same experience that I had with them. And it's just not the same. So sometimes those Christmas movies are triggers for me. Certain songs. And I know a lot of people are big about, and whether you are or aren't, doesn't matter, but some people love a good Christmas mass. I have tried, this will be Christmas number 5, okay? I have tried every year to walk into church and to listen to the mass and the music and enjoy it. I break down and I'm a mess. I am a mess. It is a trigger for me because, again, it was a tradition that was shared with my son. So that's why I tell you, it's okay as circumstances change in your life, finding different traditions. Don't be afraid that if one of your traditions is a trigger, don't be afraid to try something different.
Okay.
And those around you, your loved ones, friends, don't make them feel guilty about saying, we need a new tradition here.
And I think it goes also back to being honest. Just say, listen, this is not good for me.
That's it.
This is not good for me. All right, let's talk about something a little bit different. Let's talk about eating.
Oh, yes.
During the holidays. Now, it's funny, but I will tell you that this does go with some kind of mental state, right? And so depression and I would have to probably say extreme joy.
Yes.
Both of those can cause overindulgence and bad habits.
Yes.
Perhaps. Drinking, eating, these things. Everybody's got a party, everybody's got an everything. Now we did a talk on this like a couple years ago about ways to avoid that. Eat before you go to the party. So try to eat good things prior to going to a party with bad stuff, and avoid the sugars and stuff like that. Any other thoughts? Any other what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with, and a lot of people during the holidays, I think that it's equally as bad on both sides of the spectrum. To say I am not going to enjoy my holiday, the festivities of pies and cakes and chocolates. To say I'm not going to do that because I cannot.
Pumpkin bread and pumpkin
bread
pie,
Mom,
just saying.
And then the other side is a complete overindulgence, where you literally make yourself sick. And you have put on 10 pounds. And then it's like, oh my gosh. There is a happy medium. There's a happy medium.
I agree.
If you know that you're going to go out and you're going to indulge a bit and some beverages or some sugar, then you get a good exercise in that day. Make sure you get good 30, 40 minutes of exercise.
Which is good for your
cardio.
mental anyway,
period.
right?
That's right.
That's good for you anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that they, it's a one-for-one cross-out, but certainly a good habit like exercise is certainly not bad for you. It will certainly boost your endorphins. It will actually make you feel more full. It will make you feel better. It is a combat to things like dysthymia and depression,
Right.
you know, and anxiety.
Right.
So yeah, 100%, 100%. I find that during the holidays, I'm a grazer, and I'm not usually
Right.
a grazer, you know, but
Yep. A little
you-
bit of this.
That's right. You go to
a little
my
bit of that.
kitchen or you go to my office right now, and there are tables full of, and it ain't good stuff. It's good stuff. It's just not the good stuff. It's cookies and bread.
It's not
and,
vegetables. It's not broccoli and dip.
Listen, I finished off our mother's pumpkin bread.
Yes, you did.
I hid
Tell
the
us
last
more.
third of it at the office, and I had it today for lunch. I'm not gonna lie.
That was selfish.
No, it wasn't.
You
no.
know what? And this is
I was
something
not
else
selfish.
he did.
That's
Something
you
else
know,
he did
That's
is for Thanksgiving. My mom, she doesn't make near as much as she used to, so we literally fight over it.
this is not true.
Well, I have it without nuts. He likes his pumpkin bread with nuts. So somehow we got exchanged, right? So he gets home and he texts me and says, Jess, does your pumpkin bread by chance have nuts in it? I look and I say, oh my God, it did. He said, I've got yours. He said, I'm just going to drop yours off tomorrow. I'll pick mine up. Do you know what he did? It had a third, maybe a fourth or third of it gone. He ate the piece he had originally
Not
cut.
true. None of that's true.
It is
Listen,
darn
how
straight
would
true.
I know that it didn't have nuts in it? I had to taste it.
Oh, it
I
wasn't
had
a
to know.
taste. It
And once I
wasn't-
cut, and I don't cut a small slice.
No.
I'm not gonna. I cut a big slice. It was not a third. I apologize.
Listen,
I don't know
don't
what all that
apologize. Don't apologize.
Listen, I
Not-
saved you 600 calories.
Yes, you
That's
did.
what I
Thank you,
did.
brother, for saving me.
That's
600
where it's
calories.
at. So we're going to start, you know, kind of wrapping this up and tying it all in. But I can't say enough though. We're talking about mental. I hate mental illness.
Mental health. Yeah.
During the holidays. But again, I don't want to make it sound like, you know, it can be doom and gloom, right? So much of this holiday
Right.
is joy. I would tell you that there's also an element of pacing yourself
Right.
with the joy, because it's got to last a while. I mean, one of the things that we do in this country and maybe around the world, but certainly in this country, we've extended Christmas
Oh, it
for,
starts
for months now. It starts at
starts-
Halloween, not
literally.
Thanksgiving anymore.
literally
So
the day after Halloween. Yes.
but I am Clark Griswold, right? I mean, if you could
Right.
see the tree behind you, you would understand. And I love decorating. I love that.
Me too.
So I'm happy to be the one out there decorating my house the day after. I still, though, I hold off till the day after Thanksgiving.
You do.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you spread the joy all year
So
round.
this is my thought. I once had a colleague, and she kept I call it a Christmas tree. She kept a tree up in her house all year long, and she decorated
probably do
it
that.
for every season. So she would decorate. She would have a fall tree. She would have a Thanksgiving tree. She would have a Christmas tree. She would have a Valentine's tree. Like, I thought it was really cool. So
That's
she
actually a
took the
good
tradition.
idea. I like
You
I
would
like
see,
the
you would be
idea.
able to have a nice big tree up in your home.
I think that's great. I'm gonna
But
do that.
I do think that, honestly, find what works for you. And if you are married or you share a house with someone, then compromise is always important. What I've learned is that I cannot have Hallmark movies on all day long. It's not nice. I have to share the TV. We have to do some football. We have to,
Gotta do a little soccer.
so find compromise, but there are people who need, I want to start my Christmas before Thanksgiving. And I remember when we married our spouses or whatever, and some people were like, this is crazy, like you're playing Christmas movie and it's Thanksgiving, Christmas music and it's Thanksgiving. And I'm like, of course.
That's right.
That was our tradition. That's what we grew up with in our house. But not everybody wants to, and respect it, not everybody wants to hear Christmas movie on Thanksgiving.
Actually, it's funny. I don't normally say this, but I would love for you to comment below on your favorite Christmas song, but even more important,
Are we going to sing
album. No, we ain't singing.
You're a mean one,
Not that.
Mr. Cringe.
What is
Oh,
your
what?
Jessica? What's your favorite Christmas
Mr.
album?
Cringe. My favorite Christmas
They're trying to get me to
album.
sing. It is not happening.
It's hard to pick because there were those that we grew up with that were our fathers that are very sentimental. I love Karen Carpenter, The Carpenter's Christmas.
Oh.
It's a great album.
The Carpenter's Christmas.
Andy
Williams was a really
great.
good one.
Luther Vandross or Vandross, however you want to pronounce it, has an exceptional Christmas album.
I've heard some of the songs, not the whole album. Andrea Bocelli does a good one.
Yep.
Now, believe it or not, for all the haters, we used to listen to Kenny G.
Kenny G.
Remember Kenny
it was
G?
Beautiful.
It was
Absolutely
beautiful.
still
Michael
is.
Bolton.
Michael Bolton has
Had
a really
Amy
good
Grant
one.
had a great one.
Yep. Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood has a good one.
So there's a song out by Carrie Underwood and John Legend. It came out last Christmas, and it's called Hallelujah. It's a beautiful song. You should listen to it. Beautiful, beautiful song.
My favorite rendition of Hallelujah, the original, was Jeff Buckley.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you ever heard it?
I don't think
You've got to hear this. Jeff Buckley does Hallelujah. It is.
I don't think I've heard it.
Without
Cloverton
question.
does a good one. Cloverton.
Cloverton.
Yep.
I'm down with that. I think music is something that really touches the soul. And you know what? It is something that is secondary or ancillary. You put it on. It's in the background.
Right.
My colleagues know me as the whistler. They can hear me coming because I'm whistling all the time down the hall. I just find great joy in music. Now, we had a big music part of our family, but I think music really touches. There's a nostalgia.
There is.
Also, it's like we say, smell. Well, sound.
It does.
It can take you back.
Many different places, and again, can be a trigger. So be careful. But yes, music. I used to say when I was younger, I don't know if I had to choose between air and music. I don't know which one I would choose because music means that much to me. But it does. It affects us, and so.
It does.
But like I said, if you do have, we're not going to say mental illness right now. We're going to say mental health. If your mental health is poor, know your triggers. If there's certain music that are triggers for you, avoid that and put on something that would do the opposite for you.
All right. So my last thing I want to touch on. I do this. I used to think that
When
this
you were
was. Yeah.
You used to think.
I used to think when I was young. Now it's robotic. I agree. I used to think that this was a practice people did because it was you count your blessings. I literally count my blessings.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that's wisdom or if it's just superficial. But I literally will count my blessings. I will sometimes, especially on a dark morning.
List them out.
When I say dark, I mean a morning where I'm not feeling joyful.
Yeah, where your mental health might not be as.
That's right. Not as up to snuff as it should be.
Right.
I will count my blessings on the way to work.
Yes.
All the way to work.
Yep. That is, and it's interesting that you said that because I think that probably we got that from our mother.
I got it from the song "Count Your Blessings" instead of sheep. No, I'm
Mom,
kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm going to give credit to you, Mom. But I can tell you this, that after losing my firstborn, I remember saying to my mother, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I really don't. And she said, I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to do this. She said, every morning you wake up, you're going to plant your feet. She said, and you're going to be thankful for every blessing that you have in your life. And you're going to remember them, and you're going to call them out. You make a list of them. And I did that for a year, where I literally had to. Because when we're feeling down, sometimes it's human nature. We can become a little, I'm not going to say we all have a little bit of a narcissist type thing about us, but we get sometimes self-involved.
Sure.
And we start to pity ourselves.
That's easy to do. It's easy to do around the
And
holidays.
especially around the holidays, yes. And so take a piece of paper out and make a list of all those blessings, like you said, that you have in your life. Because I can tell you, if you walk outside, the birds in the sky. I saw 3 rainbows today. It rained and it was sunny. It was beautiful. That's Vero Beach for you. I saw 3 rainbows, and I remember saying, thank you. Being in the moment, and even for the small things, count your blessings. Be thankful.
I'm down with that. Doesn't mean you're going to be happy,
No.
but it's a darn good start. All right, this is the time to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for the joy they've given me. My patients have been unbelievable. I had Diane stop by and gave me this unbelievable mug today. I've had so much food come by. One of my patients, Rainey, I mean, this massive, wine and food thing and some socks and just, and these are not people who are made of money.
Right.
These are people who just, honestly, I somehow was lucky enough to touch them, and they want to touch me.
That's
and
right.
I'm touched, and
Do you know-
that's a blessing.
It is, and you have had a very positive impact on a lot of people's lives, and I know that they too have brought joy to you. When they walk into your office and they wrap their arms around you and say, Dr. Rad, you changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That is huge. And I want
It
to,
is.
and I won't say the name. You know who you are, and you're probably watching. But a patient of yours, a colleague and friend of mine, said to me, said that you made such a tremendous impact in her life that she got a puppy and she named her puppy after you.
Oh, well, for all the names that my sister, mother, and wife have for me, I can only imagine. I'm hoping it's just something with Jay or Jason. That's what I want to.
Jay.
No, I am another blessing, another big blessing. I never thought when I went into surgery
You're right.
that I would get great joy from my job because of how much impact I could have on someone. It's interesting. I thought selfishly, you're in your late 20s. You don't
Right.
know. You don't know. I'm choosing a career path. I'm thinking medicine, surgery. I'm thinking I'll enjoy that. It's a very selfish move, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll enjoy that. I'm
Right.
gonna cut people and fix them and use my hands and and it'll be a great career and something to be proud of.
Right.
And then you're in it, right? And you get to touch these lives, right? And then there's this preoperative thing and there's post-operative thing, and in bariatrics it's like big, but in everything, breast cancer and colon
Right.
cancer, like all these things, and their families, and it is an honor. It is an honor to do that. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I will say there is the flip side of that, right?
Yep.
If there's a complication,
Right.
or you can't pull somebody through something, or you're giving
Right.
the diagnosis of a stage 4
Yes.
cancer, there is a flip side to that.
Yes.
For anyone going into medicine, that you should know that. But I certainly count it as a blessing.
It
I
is a
count you
blessing.
as a blessing.
I count you as a blessing. 99% of the time.
99%. That's a passing grade, folks. Listen,
Sure is.
happy holidays. May you be loved. May you be bold. And may
be
you be
kind.
kind.
Yes.
May you be brave.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays.
Happy
Whatever,
Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, whatever your belief is, whatever your celebration is, happy. And remember, it doesn't always have to be happy all the time, 100% of the time. Live in the moment, enjoy those moments, create memories.
I dare you to go give somebody a Dr. Rad kind of hug. And if you've ever gotten one,
That's a serious hug.
that's a hug.
I'll take a hug.
Ah!
I love you.
That's a radical kind of hug.
That is.
We love you guys.
Love you
Thank
so
you
much.
for listening to us. Just have a good time with
Yep.
one another. We love you. Share this with a friend, especially if you know people who are in need. Reach out and just love somebody. Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.